Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Christovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Christovich. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. And seated tonight at our table, Gwen Thompkins. She's back, I'm so glad. Host of the radio program Music Inside Out, airing twice weekly on WWNO Radio. Hey, Miss Gwen.
Hello,
it's great to have
Peggy.
you back,
nice
dear.
To see
Yeah. Poppy Tucker, exclamation point, host of the radio program Louisiana Eats, also airing twice weekly on WWNO Radio. Hello, dear Poppy.
Hello,
Hi.
Peg.
She's back. Clare Moncrief, director of the New Orleans Shakespeare Festival at Tulane. And of course, she directed Hamlet. We're going to talk about that too. She's also the executive director of the organization, plus she directs, and she's also a very talented actress. Anyway, lots to say. Hello, Miss Clare.
Hello.
And Alan Smason of the Crescent City Jewish News and theatercriticism.com, and the only guy in the house here today. Okay. Anyway, first up, Poppy.
Well, it hit the newsstand, so I thought that today we should just clear up a bunch of different things about Poppy's pop-up drag brunches, because according to New Orleans Magazine, I am apparently now officially the brunch. I'm the brunch boss. Okay, so it's so funny because just last week Peggy said to me, "Poppy, there's so many drag brunches. Is all this something that you're?" No. All of these drag brunches are not all something that I am involved in. I got into this crazy thing sort of by accident because of the cross-dressing ghost at Tujague's. And when the Tujague's book came out in October of 2015, that's when we started having, just on a whim, these drag brunches at Tujague's. Always, they're a benefit for charity. Always my charitable partner, Crescent Care, who used to be the No AIDS Task Force, and in particular their Food for Friends program, because I experienced the difference that made in people's lives.
Which helps feed AIDS victims, like
they
drop them off their house.
People who were in hospice and
people
who were in hospice and dying from AIDS originally. Now their outreach extends to cancer. Sometimes that's the only person these people would see when the meal would be delivered. So that's why it's important to me. And if you see that it's a Poppy's pop-up drag brunch, it's for charity, and even those drag queens, those good ladies, donate their tips. So since I decided that the news was out, it was time to just sort of give us an overview of what is coming next. Big surprise, Tales of the Cocktail, drag brunch at Tujague's restaurant. This is going to happen on the Sunday of Tales of the Cocktail, July 21st. It's $75. Princess Stephanie.
Debbie with a D, we just
Debbie with a D, and the beautiful Misty Bonet, all beautiful, beautiful ladies from the brunch book that's coming this fall. Then, the next Sunday, this is going to be something that everybody in the hospitality industry is going to want to attend. Amanda Toops called to say the only thing she wants for her 40th birthday is a drag charity brunch. So at Toops South, the following Sunday, we're throwing a big birthday drag brunch for Amanda, and tickets are just $55. Call both of the restaurants for reservations. Now, you know a trend has really hit when it begins to be parodied. And I just heard earlier this week that there was going to be something called Drag Brunch 12:01 a.m. This first ever is going to take place August 2nd at the Always Lounge, and actually it's going to be a Crescent Care benefit. It's part of Poppy's pop-up events. Vincentos, my cover girl, and Mr. Gregory are hosting this first ever parody. There'll be chicken and waffle sandwiches with pimento cheese. There'll be shrimp and grits. It's at the Always Lounge. Doors open at 11:30. So it's a whole new frontier. Then, finally, The book's going to come out on Friday, August 30th. There's going to be a big book lunch party that I want everybody to come to at Brennan's Restaurant during their champagne happy hour. This is during Southern Decadence. And of course, the following day, Brennan's is hosting their own second annual drag brunch. And that's something that Brennan's decided to do last year. That's when I knew this thing had really gone mainstream. I said, oh my goodness, now we're at Brennan's. Not me personally, but them hosting them. That's $95 for 4 courses, and everything's endless mimosas, and then some save the dates looking ahead. Jack Rose at the Pontchartrain Hotel. It's actually Jack Rose's parlor, the special event spot. Sunday, September 8th, we'll see one there, and then the first ever at Antoine's Restaurant. There will be a Poppy's Pop-Up drag brunch on Sunday, September the 29th. And there will be baked Alaska for dessert.
Okay. All right, Miss Poppy, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's nice. It's so nice that you're raising all that money for that organization.
We've raised tens of thousands of dollars. It's just been remarkable.
That's great. Gwen, oh my goodness, what a bad last few weeks in terms of music giants in New Orleans.
It's true. It's like watching autumn leaves falling from a tree.
And
it
most
really
recently,
is.
of course, Dave Bartholomew. We are going to have a video in just a few minutes, but first, a setup for the uninitiated or new to town. Who was Dave Bartholomew?
Well, I have to say, if a man lives 100 years and still needs to set up, something's wrong, right?
That's true.
But that being said, I mean, we're talking about Dave Bartholomew, who is one of the founding fathers of rock and roll. This is a fellow who came from Edgar, Louisiana, very humble beginnings. He was a cane cutter for just a few weeks out of his life. That's what he was going to be destined to do. But then he decided to take up the trumpet, and he became a jazz musician. He became a jazz band leader, a very good one, actually. He had hits. But then his real career, as far as the world is concerned, it started when he became a scout and producer for Imperial Records. That's where his collaboration with Fats Domino began. Together, they, along with Cosmo Matassa, the great engineer, they sold 65 million records. Who can say that? There are very few people.
Let's hear some more, of course, and from Dave Bartholomew. Here is a WYES Tricentennial Moment narrated by Eric Paulson, all about Dave Bartholomew.
To commemorate the founding of New Orleans in 1718, WYES presents this Tricentennial Moment in celebration of our city's past and present.
It's no overstatement to say Dave Bartholomew introduced the world to the New Orleans sound. He called it the Big Beat, that unmistakable piano and horn-driven sound of New Orleans rock and roll. Dave Bartholomew knew it better than anyone else. Dave was born on Christmas Eve in 1918 in Edgar, Louisiana. He was a band leader, a trumpet player, a songwriter, producer, and arranger. He used those skills to form a hit-making partnership with Antoine Fats Domino. In 1949, years after Dave had made a name for himself in the local music scene as a band leader and trumpeter, he was working as a talent scout for Imperial Records and discovered Fats performing in a neighborhood bar. Their first collaboration, The Fat Man, would send them both down the road to music gold. Dave became Fats' producer, co-writer, and arranger on a string of huge hits throughout the 50s and 60s. Blue Monday, I'm Walkin', Ain't That a Shame, and many more recorded here in New Orleans at Cosmo Matassa's studio.
I don't think it was the birth of rock and roll because a lot of people doing it before us. We got more attention than anybody else.
Many have said Dave's sense of discipline helped focus Fats' talent in a way few others could have.
I asked Cosmo Matassa, and he said, without Dave Bartholomew, there would not be a Fats Domino. He said, without Fats Domino, there would not be the Dave Bartholomew we know today.
That's true.
I mean, did you guys really kind of worked off each other? I mean, did you have any idea what you guys were creating at that time?
Well, one complements the other.
Dave also worked with other chart-topping artists, producing Lawdy Miss Clawdy for Lloyd Price and I Hear You Knockin' for Smiley Lewis, just to name two. Dave himself recorded a national R&B hit with Country Boy back in 1950. In recent years, Dave was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and earned a special Grammy Trustees Award, one of many ways the music industry paid tribute to one of its founding fathers. With this WYES Tricentennial Moment, I'm Eric Paulson.
WYES's New Orleans Tricentennial Moments are brought to you by the Miro Foundation and presented in association with the historic New Orleans Collection.
And special thanks to Dominic Massa for that wonderful piece. And Gwen.
Yes, and Dave Bartholomew, he's often associated with the big beat, just as we heard a couple minutes ago. And what the big beat is, whatever instrument you're playing in the band is a rhythm instrument. So you play horns, you play piano, you play guitar, you play it as rhythm. And that's one of the reasons why the 20th century has been called the century, in terms of music, the century of rhythm. So whenever you turn on the radio and you hear something with an amazing rhythm, you need to thank Dave Bartholomew for that.
And Monday,
and Fats Domino.
Memorial.
That's right. And so maybe you want to thank him on Monday, okay, during the special memorial. It's going to be from 9 a.m. until 11:45 over at St. Gabriel the Archangel Roman Catholic Church, which is in Gentilly Woods, actually.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
and in our show in the last few weeks, we of course did a tribute to Dr. John. But your thoughts about Dr. John?
Oh boy, it's funny because as you said earlier, so many people have passed on just in recent weeks, and the thing about Dr. John and Dave Bartholomew is that they seem to be associated with what we would call sort of a time of miracles. A time of musical miracles in New Orleans. Where you have these titans who were born and working, and so Dr. John came up and was working in the 50s at the same time that Dave Bartholomew was working in the 50s, and then continued on. And their stories are interesting in that these are very, very much self-made men. And what's interesting is that neither man accepted what I would imagine fate would have had for him if he had not picked up an instrument. Bartholomew was a cane cutter, as I said, in Edgewood, Louisiana. Dr. John Mac Rubenak, didn't necessarily see a future for himself, as he was growing up in New Orleans, except with music. And that's something that music can do. It can help people reinvent themselves. And in many ways, it's kind of you could attach it to the American dream if you wanted to. I mean, and what's interesting about it is that it's not, its achievement is not always pretty. It's not always melodious. I mean, Bartholomew's experience with Fats Domino was a rocky one. Dr. John had his struggles, with addiction and so many other things. Achievement is not pretty, but ultimately it enhances all of our lives. And that's what these two gentlemen did.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Beautifully said. New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Annette Jansen told us what two cities are located along the Jafuncta River and which one has a lighthouse. That's Covington and Madisonville, which has the lighthouse. Now, tonight's question. This Tangipahoa parish town has a name that could be associated with July 4th. Name the town and the ethnic group that most associate with it. Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prize is a year's subscription to Louisiana Life magazine. A t-shirt with the message, Top 10 Classic Veggie Literary Works from our War and Peas. I love it. Thank you, Wearable Vegetables. And a pair of free admission passes, such a deal, to either the Audubon Zoo, the Aquarium of the Americas, or the Butterfly Garden and Insectarium. A reminder that our friends at Kitchen Witch Cookbooks right off North Broad, sadly they are closing. They're still having their closing sale, and we're so sorry, but we wish them well. And you can go to WYES.org for our online calendar, including meeting artist Taja Olson tomorrow at the Angela King Gallery on Royal Street. You can link to WYES's YouTube channel to see our program. And now Claire, what a busy summer you have with
busy.
Shakespeare.
Yes.
And you've really been very involved with Hamlet, to say the least. Huh?
Yes, actually, this is the third time I've directed it. So, and I think I was Ophelia twice and Gertrude 3 times. So, long history with the play.
Absolutely. Of course, you just had Much Ado. You've got Leslie Castay doing the Shakespeare Cabaret. I love that mix. And the Lupin Theater really works for those, don't they?
It works very well. And we even, at the end of, in mid-July, on the 17th, I believe, we have the NOLA project coming in with that hysterical by any means necessary spoof. And this time they're doing King Lear.
Is this mostly improv?
It's improv and it's meant to be comedic, so don't go in expecting a traditional production of King Lear.
Yes, no, so exciting. But I'm bragging on Miss Claire because, of course, not only is she executive and management, arts management and director, but I remember her fondly, and I know you do too, Alan. She was an incredible gold of my year, one-woman show at La Petite a few years back. Just her, 90 minutes, no intermission, right, Claire?
Yes, it was.
But back to Shakespeare. You've done so many Shakespeare plays. Do you still find something fresh from the Bard in your direction too?
Absolutely. They're the most magnificent plays ever written, and Hamlet has to be the crowning glory of his work. Harold Bloom, who wrote a book called The Invention of the Human, saying that that's what essentially Shakespeare did with his plays, said that Hamlet has all of Shakespeare in it. He wrote it in the middle of his career, and it has everything from every play and everything about human condition.
We have a clip. Can you set it up for us from the play?
Yes, there are not that many light moments in Hamlet, but there are a few. He was a good playwright. So this is a clip from the moment when this group of actors called the Players come in to perform at the palace at Elsinore. And Hamlet, who loves acting and knows the players, gives them some advice.
Okay, and who is playing Hamlet?
Patrick Bowen is playing Hamlet, and we're also featuring Burton Tedesco as the first player who also has
Okay,
a
and I think you know Patrick Bowen?
Yes, he is my son, my youngest son.
And now here's a clip from Hamlet.
Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounce it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of your players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Nor do not saw the air too much with your hands thus, but use all gently. For in the very torrent, you must acquire and beget a temperance that may give it smoothness. But be not too tame neither. Suit the action to the word to the action, with this special observance that you o'erstep not the modesty of nature. For anything so o'erdone is from the purpose of playing.
Anon he finds him, striking too short at Greeks. His antique sword, rebellious to his arm, lies where it falls, repugnant to command. Unequal match. Pyrrhus at Priam drives, enraged strikes wide, but with the wind and whiff of his fell sword, the unnerved father falls. Then senseless Ilium, seeming to feel his blow, with flaming tops stoops to his base, and with a hideous crash takes prisoner Pyrrhus here below. His sword, which was declining on the milky head of Reverend Priam, seemed in the air to stick. So, after Pyrrhus' pause, aroused vengeance sets him new at work, and never did the Cyclops hammers fall with less remorse than Pyrrhus' bleeding sword now falls on Priam, who had seen the Moblet Queen run barefoot up and down a robe, a blanket in the alarum of fear, caught up. If the gods had seen her then, when she saw Pyrrhus, make malicious sport in mincing with his sword her husband's limbs. The instant burst of clamor that she made, unless all things mortal they care not for, would have made milch.
Wow.
And special thanks to Anthony Sandoval for helping us with that wonderful video. A reminder that Hamlet will be running from July 12th all the way to the 28th at Tulane's Lupin Theater. Visit NewOrleansShakespeare.org for tickets. And now, though, it is time for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight we are featuring the work of photographer Timothy Duffy. This is New Orleans blues guitarist Little Freddie King. Duffy is known for his portraits of musicians using a process that dates back to the 19th century. And this is Pat Cohen, Bourbon Street Queen. His exhibit, titled Timothy Duffy Blue Muse, is on view now through July 28th at the New Orleans Museum of Art. Visit NOMA.org for more information. And now, Alan.
Well, now that the fireworks are over and we're trying to work our way through the fire of summer heat, see what I did there? Perhaps a series of shows over at Southern Rep will keep us cool on the inside. This is the Southern Rep City Series. They're going to have 3 plays that are starting up this month and running into August. First one is Inside the Creole Mafia. This is by Mark Broyard and Roger Guinevere Smiths. Basically, it's a not too dark comedy, but it's essentially about Creole society here in New Orleans, and it really sort of blows it up, talks about the Creole culture and deals with a lot of things that we know and love, but some of the things that we may not know about. It includes some commentary on supremacists of all stripes, including, if you will, brown paper bags and hot sauce infused sort of holy water. So a lot of stuff going on there. Then there's Till Sunday, which is by Nairobi Otero. This is a commentary on what it's like to be a Cuban, what it's like to be an immigrant, and what it's like ultimately to be an American. So a commentary there. This was part of the Hollywood Fringe Festival in 2017. And then finally, A Conjuring and Telling of Black Girl Magic. This is by Constance Thompson, who is a member of the Southern Rep repertory theater company that they have established now. And it's basically several different actresses who are talking about what it's like to be a black, to be a feminist, and basically the stories that they weave all together. Again, Constance Thompson sort of curating this piece. And again, that's going to involve people from as young as 10 and as old as 70. So it should be something to look at. That's the Southern Rep City Series, and again, it runs again through July into August. Now, there's some really good news over at Rivertown Theaters, and that is that ABBA, the music makers, their musical jukebox, is going to be on the stage in the form of Mamma Mia. Well, they're going to be making that return, but unfortunately, so many people have heard the word so far that seats are going to be very difficult to get. I'm telling you that because I found one seat for myself to review the show, but I'll have that review for next week. So again, Rivertown Theaters for the Performing Arts, Mamma Mia. It runs from July the 11th all the way to the 21st. And another opening I'm really looking forward to seeing is Sheldon Harnick and Jerry Bach's wonderful She Loves Me, which was a show that was originally starring Barbara Cook. This time out in the Barbara Cook role of Amalia is Dodie Piper, who's got some wonderful, wonderful vocalizations. She's just a great vocalist. She's, of course, a World War II belle as well, Victory Belle. But she is going to be singing that role along with Rich Arnold, who's going to play George. And again, if you know The Shop Around the Corner, it's the story about the pen pals who don't know each other and they kind of get together. Look also for Bryce Slocum, who's going to be playing Mr. Kauai, and Meredith Owens as Ilona, who's the girl who finds love in the library, if you will. She Loves Me. That's going to be playing July the 11th through the 14th, only 5 days. Check that out over at Dixon Hall. And don't forget, next Tuesday, I will be one of the judges for the very first of this year's competition of the Stage Door Idol. They'll have 4 weeks of competition, then the finals will be a couple of weeks after the 4th week. That'll be in August. The first winner of this, by the way, was Chase Kamada. She's the granddaughter, of course, of the late Leah Chase, and of course the daughter of Leah Chase, the vocalist. And here I am from last year's winner with Charis Goulage, who was also a Big Easy Award winner. So she really, got a lot of awards this past year. But again, the Stage Door Canteen, it's $5 to $10 for the finale. I know it's on August the 13th, but check it out at the World War II Museum. Okay. A lot of good stuff there.
All right, thank you. Now it is time for our picks. Gwen.
Well, this weekend is the Essence Festival, and so you might want to head on over there. There's going to be some interesting talks as well as some very interesting performances. Big Frida's going to be performing on Sunday. Erica Falls is performing on Saturday. Michelle Obama will be there on Saturday, and she's opening for Mary J. Blige. Oh, you get to say that, huh? And then, of course, Sunday is Frankie Beverly with Maze, and so that's going to be amazing. And then on Tuesday, this is something I would like to go and see. It's at Preservation Hall. They're going to have Charlie Graw, which is a celebration of Charlie Gabriel, the longtime saxophonist and a clarinet player, who is also the artistic director of the hall. And he's going to be making 87 years old. And the event starts at 10 o'clock on Tuesday night, and all the money is going to go. All the proceeds will go to the Preservation Hall Foundation, which puts a lot of instruments in young people's hands.
He has the most infectious smile.
Doesn't he? He's beautiful.
He is. He really is. Poppy.
Tomorrow is the 4th annual Chicken Jam put on by the Copeland Foundation. It's at the Lakefront Arena. And then next Wednesday at 10:45, come join me at the reopening of the Place St. Charles Food Court. I'll be cutting a ribbon, and there's a special app that you can download and get $15 in vendor credits.
All right, Claire.
Well, I have to stick with Tulane again. There's so much theater going on. She Loves Me at Summer Lyric would be my pick.
Sounds good. Alan.
I've heard that before. Okay. Nuffle Bunny. Now, this is something else going on at Southern Rep. This is a cautionary musical, and it's for kids. Again, $8 to $13 is the cost, and that's going to be at Southern Rep's new theater on Bayou Road. Check it out.
Okay, and before but I go to my picks, I wanted to acknowledge, though, the passing of New Orleans area-based but nationally recognized artist Roland Golden. We will reflect on his career and his legacy during a future program, but very, very sorry to hear about that, and wishing better things, of course, for his dear family. He was an amazing, amazing person and artist. And now it's time, though, for my picks. Famed television chef Carla Hall will be giving a talk and signing her new book, Carla Hall's Soul Food Every Day and Celebration. That's tomorrow at Cafe Istanbul from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. A purchase of her book will count as admission and can be done through tubbyandcoos.com, COOS.com. Starting next Monday, City Park Storyland Amusement Park will be temporarily closed because there's going to be lots of renovation in Storyland itself. Very exciting. You can visit Storyland, though, this weekend. Looking ahead, the New Orleans Film Society is showing Bayou Maharaja, a documentary not to be missed about famed local musician James Booker. It's part of the group's film series. That's Wednesday evening at the Orpheum Theater. Free admission. Visit NewOrleansFilmSociety.com for more information. And catch the band Rhythm and Rhyme live as they perform songs from their new album Wheels Up. That's next Friday a week from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at D-Max Bar and Grill. That's right there in South Jefferson Davis Parkway off Tulane. Visit the bar's website to see a full calendar of upcoming events and performances. Thank you all so very much, and thank you so much for watching. Good night.
This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area. Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Christovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Christovich.